Alright everybody, I'm just going to get myself set up here for the stream and we'll get going. Just going to get my video up on the side here so that I can interact with you and see the chat and everything. So if you want to say hi, where you're from, if you drop into the stream, that would be great. I'll be watching the chat. We had a lot of fun yesterday. Let me just get a quick tweet out here. Share. Alright everybody, I'm just going to get myself set up here for the stream and we'll get going. Just going to get my video up on the side here so that we had a lot of fun yesterday. Let me just get a quick tweet out here. Share. Alright everybody, I'm just going to get myself set up here for the stream and we'll get going. Just going to get my video up on the side here so that we had a lot of fun. Alright. And let's get to work here. So I've flushed out our output, and what we're going to do first, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to refactor the code a little bit. So I think I'm going to do a branch now that I have sort of the main base working code as is. So let me show you how to do branching, right? So I'm going to need another window into GitHub. And we're going to go into the repository nxpydocs. Let's give this a star. And let's make a new branch called hostname. Create the branch, and then let's switch into hostname here, and let's do a get fetch and change into hostname. All right, so right now I'm just dumping the files as the show command they're running. But what if we have this on multiple devices? What if we want to put this on 2 nexuses or 10 nexuses or 100? Well, I don't just want show version, it's going to overwrite that file, and I'd like to give an indication as to what the host name that command came from. So this isn't hard, we just have to work it out. So what I think I'm going to do is if repo is not none, and if file type is not none, so if I go into here, let's go ahead and make a new function here called self get hostname, and let's just put this kind of down here. Define get hostname with self, and what we're going to do is the very first thing we're going to do is run the show version command. So, and I already have this, right, show version and the CLID. So we're going to take this CLID code. Actually, let's just take this whole thing for now and we'll refactor it. So under get hostname, the first thing they're going to do is run, I don't need a variable here, we're going to run show version, and then we're going to change this to right, show version raw, and we're going to load that with JSON loads, and we're going to call this show version JSON. And I've already flushed the output, didn't I? Yeah, it's already gone. Let me just undo this. So show version JSON, I don't have it. Let's go to the template. Let's just go to the template and get it from the template. So then what we're going to do is say host name equals show version JSON, and then we just have to go find out where that host name is from. So data template dot host name. So I believe what we can do is just say host name here. So now we have the host name. And actually let's make this self dot host name, so that way we can access this host name elsewhere. So then, right, so in our logic, we're going to get the host name, we're going to clone the repository, we're going to pick the file type, and this, where we pick the file type, is where we're going to go in here. Now, just hang on. That's if they have a repo and a file type. And I think that's the only place I want the host name. Meaning, if they don't put it to a repo, but they pick a file type, like they want to save it locally into guest shell, I'll just leave it as show whatever. So I need to make that a little more universal. So let's take that get host name out of there, and we'll put it into the file type. That it won't hurt if they always have, right? So if file type is not equal none, I don't think I need that logic there. So I don't think I need this if. Let's get rid of that. I don't think I need that. So then let's put that right here, get host name at the top. So pick the file type. If you're picking a file type, go get the host name. And then what we're going to do is add it to the file name. So where I'm having my with open, right, we're going to add another variable here. And we're going to add a bracket here and say self.hostname. Like that, like kamsa, like that. And I don't think I need that space there. So let's just try it with the JSON file as is. We'll just pick a JSON file and see if that will write with the host name now in front of the. And no matter whatever command they run, we're going to learn the host name. We're going to run show version and get that host name regardless of what command they run. So let's try that. And thanks for joining me this Saturday morning, and thanks for joining me last night if you were here last night. We had a lot of fun. Now, speaking of last night, there's good news and bad news. The bad news is I can't actually confirm on this virtual 9K the EAM triggering guest shell, but that's a limitation of the platform I'm on. So in theory, this would work. We could trigger EAM scripts when there's a copy run start, when there's a reload, when there's certain syslog events, if there's some failure. Go ahead and trigger it and capture the state of the device in reaction to any event on the Nexus. And that's the whole point here, is self-documenting networks. We could also say every 4 hours, every 15 minutes, every whatever, go ahead. Now the other thing I want to do is, it's very noisy. So I'm going to get rid of all of the output that dumps onto the screen and only do it once. So what I think I will do is instead of printing the JSON for each single file, I'll just JSON dump it. But even then, well, yeah, let's clean up. So let's get this into the copy paste buffer, and we'll find the most logical places to print it out to the screen. I currently started with dumping it for every file type, and that proved to be a little bit too much screen output. There's also a git command I'm going to run to make it a little more silent, and I'll put that in the README file, but we have to figure out that command. So I'm not going to dump it to every file, but I do want, so if it's all regardless of if they pick a file type or if the repo is not none, for each command, we're going to dump the output and then we'll put it here. And we'll put it there. And we'll put it here. And we'll put it there. Okay, good. Okay, so now we're just going to print it a lot less on the screen. And let's patch that in as well. Okay, so let's go back into our code here, our virtual device, and we're going to pull down that latest iteration. And I've resized my screen so that way you can see the bottom of it. I had some, I don't know what happened in my streaming software, but I was cutting off a bit of the screen. All right, so nxpydocs, and we're going to do show version. And we're going to go to JSON. And I already have my, oh, it's not going to work. Yeah, my key is wrong. It's going to fail. This is going to fail because my key has changed. Okay, no, so it failed earlier. Hostname. Okay, so let me see why that's not working. But first of all, I have to export token and export my new token. And again, I will flush this at the end of the session, so you won't be able to use that token. And so it didn't like this. Host name is not show version JSON. Host name, is that not the key? Host underscore name. Aha, okay. Aha, see, all right. Let's patch that in. Let's update my patch number here. Get rid of my builds. Build it again, publish it. That was my mistake, it's underscore host name. Let's head back into the code. Welcome, welcome, thanks for joining me. And we're just, if you missed the earlier part of this, we're going to prepend the files with the host name of the device and a couple other little cleanups. So show version, JSON. And it should only print the JSON once to the screen now. It didn't work. I know why, because my code didn't get to the end last time. And I have the folder. Oh no, okay, so I'm gonna have to do that again because I had the folder, I forgot. So it did only print it to the screen once. And why isn't that, let me just take a look at what that printed to the screen. It should be in green. Yeah, I see what I've done. All right, let's just fix that. FG equals green. And this time, let me make sure, so LS, so there is no folder there. And the other thing I wanted to do was do this to squelch this message. To squelch this message and maintain the current behavior after the default changes, use git config global default push. Let's do this simple to adopt the new behavior. And let's add that to the README file for the git config stuff. And that'll make it a little quieter. All right, so ls, so I don't have it. Let's upgrade it. Let me do a button up here. I'm sort of look like a little bit too much skin showing for my liking. All right. All right. Now let's nx-pydocs show conversion to JSON. It should be a little less noisy now that I've squelched that get message as well. And there we go. Nice and green. Now, let's see. There is an update. Okay, so it does have the host name. It's just switch in this case. I could change that, but that logic is working because you can see here the host name is just switch. So now it's, right, obviously you're not going to just call it switch in production, but that's the name of the platform right now is switch. So that's good. That's good. So now let's do all files for show version. And it's a lot less noisy, right? We don't have that get message anymore. Yeah, there's a fatal here because of my branching, which is not upstream of your current branch main. Let's just see if all files are here. They're not. So let me merge in my code. My branching is throwing things off a little bit here. So let me increment my patch number here, and let's 161 build publish. No, I'm not pushing to that repo. Did I paste in the wrong repository? I'm not sure why I'm getting a fatal message there. Let's just merge this code in anyway though, because that is, right, added host name. Sync the changes. I'm not quite sure. I don't have another branch in here. Not quite sure why I'm getting that error message. Let's try it again. And let's merge that in here. Merge pull request, confirm pull request. Okay. And let's just export my repository again. Export repo equals. And let's try that again. Show version all. Unless it was that global config I put in where I said simple, that may have added. Yeah, you see, you are pushing to remote, which is not upstream of your current branch main, without telling me what to push to update your remote branch. So let's change that. Let's change this to the default behavior. I think maybe that is what screwed up my git. simple like upstream, but refuses to push the upstream branch name is different from the local one. Push the current branch to the same name. Matching. Let's make that matching. So it's not my code, it's my Git behavior. I've screwed up where I put that simple in. Let's update the README file to make that matching. Matching. Let's try it again. Show version all. Let's see if I get that same fatal error. No fatal error. Okay, good. So now let me quickly flash this readme git fix. Okay, so now if I go to my repo and pull down my code, there we go. Okay, so now it has the name of the file, or the host name. Okay, no, I only did it for show version. Why? I know why, because I haven't updated it yet. Okay, host name. I need to change the code here. And let me go back in and reopen that branch. To fix this. Host name. Now I have a merge conflict. Yeah, one commit behind. Because I didn't delete the branch. Okay. Okay, so I still have that branch. That's good. Okay, so then let me finish this hostname exercise. I know what I've done. I didn't add the... I got ahead of myself. Where are my file names here? So I need to change this for all of my file types. So what I'm doing is I'm passing in the hostname variable, which I capture in its own little function, and I'm prepending all of my file names with, and I gotta go back and change these. So that's CSV, that is mind map markdown, that is markdown, that is HTML, that is YAML. All right. Now let's give this a dry run and then we'll push this code up into the repo. How's everybody doing today? Hope you're doing well. Nice sunny Saturday. Spending it in my basement writing code. Build. Publish. And let's go ahead and do my host name. Sync changes. That's a new VS Code behavior, by the way, as of the latest VS Code. I don't know if you notice when you do commit, it opens up a file now that you put your comment in, save the file, and that's like the commit message. So now let's I should have a pull request here waiting. New pull request. Added host name to each output file. Prepend. Cleaned up JSON output. Print out. Only printing .json once. And now we'll actually delete this branch. And then what we're going to do is make a new branch called more templates. And we'll head into our code. We will change to main. We will pull down the code. We will check our README. Yep, default matching. And we have all our hostname stuff. Okay, good. So now let's do show inventory, all files. And again, I have the get stuff in environment variables. That's why it doesn't prompt. We have our new files. Oh, silly John. I didn't update my code locally here first. I'll have to do that again with show inventory and delete the bad files. So let me do that quick. See this new commit edit message here? This is new in VS Code as of the latest version of VS Code. So now you type your message here, flushing files, and if I save that file and close that file, it triggers the sync changes. So a little more Git hand-holding in VS Code, it looks like. Oh, same as... Let me do this all over again. Right, so when I do the commit, it brings up this new commit edit message. Right, flushing show version files, save it, close it, and then it triggers the sync changes. So now I've updated everything. And actually this is a good chance. I have two show commands. Let's work on the all logic. So that way I can just say all and it will run show version. So from my list of self-supported templates, I have show, let me comment interface brief. I have show inventory and show version templated and ready to go. So now let's take a look at this chunk of logic here for all. And I need to borrow some code from down here. So I think it's all ready to go. Actually, I need to do the printout here. So if the command is all commands, for each command in the self-supported templates, go ahead and do the logic. If the file type is not none and the repo is not none, go ahead and send it to GitHub. Otherwise, right, else the repo is none, just make the file locally. And let's move this in here. And that should be the code, I believe. So let's try this with all. Let's change into the more templates repo. So version patch, let's flush our build, version build, publish. And what we will do is instead of typing both commands, we'll try all and validate that the all function works. So let me pip install nx pydocs-u. nx pydocs, so all commands, and let's do all files. So what we should see is two JSON blobs on the screen, the show inventory and the show version. And they all have, yeah, look, good, good. So now if I go into my repo and refresh it, I have switch show inventory and all my different files, and switch show version and all my different files. And just, you know, there is the show inventory mind map. There's the show version mind map. Excellent, excellent. Wonderful. Very good stuff. Okay, so now it's really just a matter of picking more show commands. So let's look at our inventory. And again, this is a pretty vanilla device. So, and what we should do before we hit the template is make sure that the command is supported by CLID. So we're going to head into Python. We're going to say from CLI import star. And then we're going to say CLID, and let's do show environment. Again, I don't have a lot of topology stuff. There's no BGP or OSPF or CDP neighbors or any of that stuff configured yet. Okay, so that does work. Show environment does work. And it's not much. There's, you know, it's a virtual device, so it doesn't have power supplies or anything like that. But for now, we can add that as our next command. Or maybe we could look, let's do a more meaty one. CLID, and let's do show IP interface brief. And what I can do is jump out and add, yeah, okay, so let's jump out of guest shell and add a loopback just so we have more than one interface, right? So if I do show IP int brief here, I just have the one interface. So let's do interface loopback 100, IP address 192.168.100.100, description of dummy loopback, and let's leave it down. Let's leave it shut, just so we can see something, right? So if I do show IP int brief, now I have that, and it is up. So what if I shut the interface and do that again? So now it's down, and that's what I want. I want an up interface and a down interface, and I'll show you why. And it comes to the HTML, and I'll show you what we can do with the HTML template. So now I have to export my stuff again. Export repo equals, no, wrong repo. Export username equals export token equals and then we're going to template. So what I can do is hopefully do nxpydocs show IP interface brief to JSON. Even though I don't have a template, I don't need a template to get the JSON file, and this logic should hold up, and this should send. There we go. Okay, so now I can use that file to make my new template. So let's pull that file down. Switch show IP interface brief, and again it's row, table interface, and then my values. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the CSV file, and we're just going to copy this whole thing and paste it. I need to add another end if, and what we're going to do is say if the command is show IP interface brief, right, we're going to have the interface name, and then we just sort of put them in the order we want, right? So administrative state, IOD, IP disabled, link state, prefix protocol state VRF name. We can put these in any order we want. Maybe having link state after administrative state is better. And then protocol state, let's bring that over too. So administrative state, link state, protocol state, IOD, all right. And then it's really like it's the same for loop for item in data table inventory row, and this is an array still. So then we just take interface name, admin state. I don't know if it likes the hyphens. I'm going to have to test. We might have to wrap these, and just to be safe, we can do this as dot, or we can do it as square brackets with quotes. So because of that hyphen, I'm going to just do it in square brackets quote, because I think the dot does not like the hyphen. That's just a gut feeling. And then link state, protocol state, oh, and that's a mistake there. That should be item dot serial number. Okay, good. I'm glad I'm catching that. That should be item dot serial number in the CSV file. So I'll fix inventory as well, the output, because it's not quite correct right now. IOD, IP disabled prefix. And then VRF out. All right, that looks good to me for the CSV file, and let's try it. Oh, I have to, hang on, I gotta package that up. And actually these show inventories. You can see here serial number, it's just empty. That's because I had the wrong code. So I'll redo that, and let's package this up. Let's head back in here. Pip install nxpydocs-u. nxpydocs, and let's do show inventory all, because that was wrong. And see if we pick up a serial number now. There's my serial number. Okay, good. Did I not say all? I thought I said all files. I did say all. Why did that stop with only a CSV file? Nothing to commit. Let me flush these. I'm not sure why that's... Oh, I know why. I know why. It's because I didn't commit the thing. I know. That's just Git stuff. That's not code stuff. That's a Git mistake by John. So let's do that again. Show inventory. Oh, gotta watch Git. You gotta watch that you're... There we go. Okay, good. Okay, so now if I come back in here and refresh, show inventory now has the serial number. Excellent. Okay, good. That's a nice little fix. And then let's just add show version with all files. Okay, and refresh this. I'll have all my show versions. So then I did show IP interface brief as a CSV. So let's do the YAML and the JSON version. Show IP interface brief as JSON. As YAML. And as CSV. Has no attribute table environment. So my template's not right. I thought I had, let me refresh my code and get the JSON. Oh, aha. Okay, so it's not table inventory, it's table interface. So it's not quite exactly the same. That's just my mistake. Gotta pay attention. Blindly copy and pasting is, that's what happened there, is I made an assumption. So let's pull down our code. And let's try that again, NX PyDocs. And the other thing is, let me show you here. I could also do it this way, NX PyDocs -- command show IP interface brief -- file type CSV, and it would also work without the prompts. So it's sort of up to the user how they want to do it. And let's check the CSV and check it out. So now, right, for every, I have a nice CSV table. This is, to me, this is powerful. Right, I could filter this out and say only show me the loopback, or if I had hundreds of interfaces or dozens of interfaces, I can work with it in Excel. I can see which ones are up or down pretty easily. I can see that IP is disabled. I can check the prefixes, right? Sort them by IP. It's really, really powerful, right? Business ready documents. That's the whole idea behind this. So now let's do the other file types. So I really am just going to take this code and move into first Markdown. I'm going to add an end if. I'm going to paste that at the top. And again, I'm going to add a Markdown header, show IP interface brief. Add a pipe to the start and a pipe to the end of both rows. And then I'm going to find and replace the comma with a space pipe space, and I'm going to slowly, because again I don't want to just do all, because I'm doing some regex replacing down here, or some Jinja 2 replacing. So be careful, right? And then I'm not quite done. I need to add a delimiter row. so that it shows up as a table. And I'll show you this. I didn't show you the mind map version of this. This does generate sort of a mind map as well with the markdown or the mark map preview. Okay, so that is done. And since I'm in here, I might as well do the other instead of doing them one by one. So that's the markdown. I'm going to copy that again, and I'm going to go into the HTML, and I'm going to paste it here, add an end if, and then I'm going to change this to be HTML data table. So I'm just going to cheat and take existing code and say show IP interface brief. Now we're going to come back to this. We're going to come back to this logic and see if we can make this a little more dynamic, a little more operational friendly using some of my keys. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So then this gets a table header at the start, a slash table header at the end. I need to add my table row, right? End the table, start the table body. Add a table row with a TD, slash TR, and then outside the for loop I have to close the table body and close the table. I think that's correct. Yes, that is correct. So then again, I'm using my find and replace magic here. Instead of a pipe, I'm going to do slash table header, 1, 2, 3, 4, table header, and replace them. And I can bring that back. And then again here, I'm going to make it TD, and replace those. And I'm going to stop replacing so that I don't screw that up. Now, let's take a look here at the opportunity. We have these admin state, link state, protocol state. So we're going to have to do a bit of Googling because I don't know it off the top of my head. But what I'm thinking is if we look at the CSV file, if it's down, 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 why don't we change the color of the cell? So I'm going to do some quick Googling here. HTML TD cell color. And this is fine. Style equals, right? So this is what I'm going to add. And I don't know what the colors are. I need to look up the color. Okay, so that is red and green. That's perfect. So what we're going to do here is say, and let's do this properly. Put this all the way here and say if item admin state equals down, and then we're going to have an else, and an end if. No, hang on. And we're going to take the style background color of red if it's down. So if the admin state equals down, then make this cell red. Else, and it's a Boolean, true or false, else make it green. So then we're going to take that same logic and let's do the logic again for link state. And this is probably easiest to just copy and paste that and then take link state. Whoops. Take link state. And then protocol state. And let's try that. I don't know that data tables, it should work. Even though it's a data table, I'm telling that cell to be a certain color. Right? So that's pretty cool. And then again, what we're going to do is do our mind map. So the mind map, I'm just going to take this for loop from the HTML and say if command equals show IP interface brief, else add my end if, and we're going to have show IP interface brief, and we're going to get rid of all of our HTML stuff. And we're going to add our, right, so name. And then let's do this, let's do state. And we can say administrative link protocol, IOD, IP disabled, prefix, VRF name out. Right? Should have a mind map now. Let's increment our build. Let's build it, publish it. Sorry if you can hear the vacuum going. My wife has decided to vacuum. Pip install nxpydocs-u. And then we're going to do nxpydocs with show IP interface brief all files. I'm really interested, so I got to back up. I want to show you the markdown file as a mind map and as a markdown table. And let's take a look at those HTML cells respond to the logic. Templating error. I should have said equals equals. Whoops, that's a simple mistake that I've made there. Equals equals down, equals equals down, equals equals down. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's just a simple stupid mistake. Did I make a folder here? Yeah, let's flush that. RMRF and nxpydocs. Pull down the update. nxpydocs show IP interface brief all. Now this again, I'm still just, it's magic to me that I'm on the fabric of the device. I'm not doing this from PyTS or REST API. I'm right in the guest shell, generating and sending documentation off the box. So that all worked. Now let's take a look at our output for show IP interface brief. So let's take, we've seen the CSV file. This is the markdown file, and it makes a nice table like this that actually renders on GitHub. I want to remind you of that. If I go into the repository and we look at the show IP interface brief markdown, it renders as a nice table in GitHub. And then I can also look at this as a mind map. It's not the best, but it's a different form of mind map where we have the keys at the top and then the values spawn out like this. Just to highlight that, any markdown, even if it's not formatted for mind map the way I format with table header rows, you can actually render this as a mind map. So the YAML looks good, and I have each interface with the key of the admin state and the actual mind map, which is going to look really nice. Hang on. No, this isn't what I want. I want them under name. So let me fix that. The mind map needs to be fixed. I made a mistake there. But let's take a look at this HTML. See, there we go. So if it's up, we get the nice green. If it's down, it is red. So at a quick glance, you can see this interface is down, right? That's a problem. Pretty cool, just with some basic HTML work. So let's fix that mind map, and I'm pretty sure I know what I need to do, and it's the name. When I go to mind map, I need to move this name what I need to do is add another layer to all of the other and put them under name. That's again a simple mistake. Shouldn't have happened, but it did happen, and we'll just address it. So we're going to patch that, increment the build, publish it, and paste it up. And we'll go in here and pull down the latest code, and we'll regenerate that. We'll just regenerate all of them. So NX PyDocs, and let's do all, and we should get 3 commands now, and whatever 15 or 12 files, whatever it is, 12 files. Let's take a look at the mind map now. Oh, it's cached. No, hang on. My all command didn't seem to catch. I think I know why. I know why. I didn't uncomment it. I didn't uncomment it from our loop here. Sorry about the dogs. Someone's visiting the house, I think. But in theory, when I did I should have got this command not templated yet. Anyway, that's all that was. I didn't uncomment the command from the list, so it didn't loop over it. Let's fix that. That's why I test. That's why I try to test as much as I can. all. It doesn't look like... Okay, there we go. No, yeah, there, that's better. There we go. That's much better. That's what I really wanted. So again, it was just a nesting mistake. I didn't put everything under name. So now we have our interfaces in this mind map, and there's state and the other information. Okay, so that's really the process from here on out, is to just keep templating our different show commands, maybe establish some CDP neighbors or something so I can do that. Let's just pick one more. I'll do one more. Now the other thing is there are mermaid files. I don't know whether or not I want to go through the effort of adding them. They're quite a bit of work, but some of them are pretty good with flowcharts and things of that nature, or the class diagrams. I'll leave them out of the repository for now. But let's go ahead and pick another command. So I think, again, it's limited because it's a virtual device. So show environment isn't the best. Let's just try show interface. That will be a good one. Or interface status, or route, or MAC address table. We can try some of these other commands. Let's just do show interface. So what I do is I'm going to go into the Python and say from CLI import star CLID show interface. And let's take a look. This should be a big, massive amount of data. Okay, all right, so we know that's a good one. So what we're going to do is get that out to JSON, nxpydocs, show interface as JSON. Just check my phone while it's doing that. Yeah, it's just spam. Okay, so look at all these fields we have per interface. This is going to make a wonderful, wonderful CSV file. Now this is going to take me a little bit to template, but if you bear with me here, what we're going to do is we're going to go into CSV, and we're going to try to keep these in alphabetical order, LMNOP. So this technically should be, show inventory should be above show IP interface brief. And we're going to add if command equals show interface else, and if, and it's just going to take some time here. If you want to stay with me, that's great. Let's go ahead and template the show interface. So I'm going to pull down the code, and there's show interface, and look at, right, so we have all of these fields. And we can even add that like if there's any errors or output drops or anything like that, if the duplex is not full, make it red. If the, I don't see any errors, or CRC errors or anything like that. Okay, so then let's do it this way. Let's cheat a bit. Let's copy this and let's do some find replace. So let's get rid of the commas or the quotes. Bring those back. And let's find ETH and just say Ethernet. Bandwidth, in, actually I'm going to remove that. We don't, that's kind of a redundant field. This is delay, I assume. Duplex, ether type. We'll call this MAC address. Hardware description. MDIX. MTU. Reliability, RX load, speed, TX load, and let's reorganize those to put TX load after RX load. Just have to remember some of these things when we put the fields in, that we're not using all of the fields and that we've reordered some of them. And then VDC level in, we're going to change that to VDC level input, and then out, VDC level output. Average bits, packets, broadcast, bytes, multicast, packets, unicast, bits, packets, broadcast, bytes, multicast, packets, and finally unicast. So then what I'm going to do is, there's a space that I want to get rid of at the end of all of these. So hit end, get rid of that space, and then what we're going to do is just bring them all onto one line. And then we're going to say for item in data to template dot table interface dot row interface end our for loop, and then start bringing in. So I'm going to try to be cute and do this again. Let's see if we can figure out a nice find and replace way to do this. So for I'm going to have to do some manual manipulation here first. Actually, let me do something else. I'm just going to, it's worth the time just to do it this way. And you'll see what I'm going to try to do here. So I'm getting rid of the one comma, but I'm leaving the one double quotes, but I'm leaving the colon. And I'll use these for my find and replace values. So just take a second. This is actually, I think, easier than typing all these out or copy and pasting each value. And you'll see what I'm going to try here. And this is one of the larger data sets. You know, show interface has a ton of fields, as you can see them all here. So this will just take a second. But hopefully what my idea works using some of these characters for find replace. And I'll have to get rid of that trailing space, but I'll do that at the end. Thank you for sticking with me. I know this isn't the most exciting stuff today. It's not as exciting as last night. All right, so now what I'm going to do is do a find on the quote. And I'm going to make that data to template dot we're going to find the colon and replace that with the closing mustaches. Actually, hang on. Let me put a space in here. And then we're going to get rid of that trailing space. Did they come and get the mirror? Did they come and get the stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want a coffee?
I have coffee. Yeah, I'd love more. Oh, quiet. Yeah, so the keystroke to select the block of text, what you can do is, it's hard for me to show you, but if you put the cursor where you want to start, you can hold Shift Alt, and you can see that see how these sort of light up with the underlines? That means you have the right keystroke. And then you click and hold and drag the mouse down. Right? So then I have the flashing. I don't want to select them all. I just want to draw the line. So now I have a flashing cursor, right? And I can, okay, I don't have the space at the end. So now I can bring them all back. So let me do that again, right? So Shift, Alt, hold those both in, and then click and drag your mouse. Okay? Good question, for sure. So let's bring them all back. And again, okay, so hang on. We got rid of hardware description, and we have the TX load after the RX load. I just about forgot about that. Merci, thank you. My lovely wife bringing me coffee, very nice of her. So then we can do this. And we should have a CSV file. Now, before I do all of the other ones, let's validate that this is that looks correct. So let's increment the build. And this is going to be a great spreadsheet. Just a fantastic spreadsheet. A spreadsheet of your interfaces. Like, it's nice as JSON, but who wants to look at this? This is not... Oh, hang on. Hang on. I have... Oh, hang on. There's more fields. There's many more fields. Oh, you're kidding me. You're kidding me. So what interface is this? This is the management 0. Ha! So that's management 0. Oh, John, I should have looked at this. Look at all these fields. That's what I was going to say. Where are some of my other fields? So, boo. Boo. We're going to have to start again. And we're going to have to use default values because not all of the fields... You see here, look at, sorry, I jumped right to this interface. But that's the management port, and it doesn't have half of the fields that a real interface has. So what we're going to need to do here... Right, and these don't have the VDC. Okay, well, let me back up here. I'll just do this. What's my best? I think my best way is just to start again. I know it seems like wasted work, but that is just the management interface. So let's start again. That's okay. And I'm going to need to use default values. So actually, hang on. There's some of these I'm going to save. These VDCs. I'll put those at the end because they look like they're only part of the management interface, the VDC information. So let me take VDC code and just dump that out to Notepad. I'll come back to that. And we will just do this again with an actual physical interface. The other thing is I'm going to have to, let me look at loopback. See, and the loopback has its own loopback fields. So there's quite a bit to consider here for show interface. We have VDC for the management port. We have loopback for loopback ports. And then we have all of the other physical interface ports. So what we'll do is we'll do and we're going to need to use default values so that it's not just empty in our cell. We'll just put NA as a default for all of these. So let's grab a physical interface first. And I don't know, the port channel interface might even have its own port channel counters or fields. I don't know. Maybe we should set up a port channel and recapture it. But for now, let's just do physical, management, and loopback interfaces. So that's a physical interface, right? Yeah. All right. Sorry about that. Geez, that's why we test, and that's why we look closely. So let's grab the physical interface and start with that one. And then we will add the loopback interface fields. Let's get those. And then I'll paste in the VDC interfaces after. Okay, that's all right. It's not going to take that much time. So we're going to just grab this and get rid of that. Bring it back to the start. Get rid of the space at the end. And start getting to work here. So admin state description encapsulation, and let's find this eth underscore and change it to Ethernet space, and then admin FEC state auto negotiate. And yeah, this is what I should have caught on, because I was like, where's CRC errors in some of these other fields that should be on show Ethernet? And then we can use that HTML logic to highlight things like bad protocol, or right, we can highlight it in red by adding some logic in the HTML table if any of these are greater than 0. I feel silly for doing all this twice, but that's what it is what it is. No, can't cry over spilled milk. And we don't want bandwidth string. That's a redundant field. Clear counters. Collisions. Here, CRC, right? This is what I was kind of looking for. If there's any CRCs in the HTML, make it red, right? That's okay. That's okay. I'd rather be right. I'd rather be right in the end. And this is going to make just a fantastic spreadsheet. Just fantastic. So I'm just going to call this MAC address. Hardware description. Ignored. So then for in, well, I guess there's only two. Input flow control. I am going to do a find replace. Input interface down drops, and then here for in I'm going to change this. Not, okay, I'll have to do it step by step. Input. This will be worth it, I promise you, and thank you for sticking around. I hope everyone's having a good morning. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to just type them in the chat. I am monitoring the chat. And again, right now I'm just sort of making the spreadsheet for show interface, which is going to just be fantastic data. Wait till you see the mind map, wait till you see the tables and the data that this is going to create. This is just going to be fantastic. And we're going to have to use, this will be my first example of showing you Jinja 2 filtering or replacing with a filter, because right, not all of these fields exist across all interfaces depending on the type of interface. So what I like to do is replace it, or set a default, I should say. So we're going to set a default value for all of these fields to be NA. And what default says is if there is no value, make the default, right, NA or none or not, right, whatever you want the default to be. And I'm just going to use NA. So that way when we hit loopbacks or the management port, it won't make just empty cells in our spreadsheet. It will say NA. And I'll show you how that's done. And it takes a bit, it's going to take a bit more work, but I think it's worth having. So that way it's not full of holes that are just empty cells. I could leave it as empty cells. That's not going to hurt anything. But I sort of like to have default NA, so that the spreadsheet reads nice and easy. And again, I'm doing this work because I believe in the work. I believe in this code. I think this is going to be fantastic to have right on your Nexus or iOS. I'll get to iOS guest shell later. But I'm really excited about this capability. I think this is pretty neat to have decentralized, on the box, you know, business ready, as I call it, documentation. Let me just lost carrier, getting there, we're getting there. There's a lot of fields on here, but that's what's going to make the data so good. And it also saves you having to read the crappy CLI output. I mean, you want to go through pages and pages of this in standard CLI output and try to find the value or compare interfaces. This is going to be a spreadsheet. Operational, FEC, state. Now I think I'm going to find, yeah, let me find out. Change it to output space. And I do see the bottom. I see the bottom. We're getting there. And we're working through it. We're working through it. We're getting pretty close. And I still have to bring in the header row from the notepad file for the management port. And let's take a look at the loopback as well and make sure there's no special fields that are not part of this that are part of a loopback. Oh, hey, no problem. Thanks for joining for as long as you did. No problem. Go work on your honey-do list. I was working on this code anyway, so I sort of have a mindset of, if I'm going to be coding, I'll just turn on YouTube and do it live. And if people want to join and have the time to join, they can. Thanks for sticking around, Quiet Riot. And it's good to see you this morning. And good luck with your honey-do list. No problem at all. This will be recorded, by the way, so if you want to come back and see how this all looks. So again, I'm going to take RX load and TX load and put them together, which means I have to remember to do that when I when I do the actual keys, or the values, not the keys. These are the keys. When I do the values, I have a honey-do list as well, and I'm only going to be doing this probably for another hour till noon. I had kind of planned on doing about 2 hours of work today. This will probably take me another little bit of time, but it's going to be worth it. State. Okay, and then a comma. So now I'm into the loopback fields. So let me do a find here on loop underscore and make that loopback space. And then let's do in underscore and change that to input space. And then we're pretty close. And again, it's going to be a pretty big spreadsheet, but it's going to be super impressive. Super, super impressive. Now, there's no data, there's no traffic on this box. You have to kind of fill in the data, the numbers with your mind. But imagine this on a fully populated, fully operational battle station. And now let me go back to the notepad file and get this top row. And let's make our big header row. I might regret doing this right now. I wanted to check if loopback had anything specific. I'll take a look at loopback. I think I got all the unique loopback fields. And I think I could actually even do this. Yeah, I should have just done that to begin with. Okay, so let's take a look at the loopback. No, it doesn't have anything specific. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing. And this one's going to be a little bit more find and replace. So let me find my example here. And what we're going to do is take all of this and paste it in here. And I'm going to do this right now. So I moved TX under RX. And I got rid of hardware bandwidth. The last thing I want is to be off by, or hardware, no, which one did I get rid of? Ethernet, MAC address hardware. I thought I got rid of a field. Here, bandwidth string. That's what I got rid of. Okay. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is the same idea here. I'm going to take, let me do this. I'm going to take all of this. Actually, I might as well go ahead and grab those loopback fields as well while I'm doing this. Save myself some work. So, loopback. And I already have my, yeah, that's already done. So I'll leave that out for now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of, I'm going to do this, bring it back here, oops, and do a find, actually, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find that and make it space like this. It looks like there's over 100 fields. This is going to be massive. This is going to be incredible. I suppose I could do a replace all, but I'm trying to be safe here. Okay, and now what I can do is find that and do this. Data to template dot. Actually, no. Let me get rid of all of this. Oh, hang on. I want the commas. This will just take a second. Well, a couple of seconds because there's like 100 fields, but you get the idea here. I'm trying to make this as quick and easy as possible with as little typing as possible. So let me get rid of all of these extra quotes and fields that we don't need. And if I was a little better with my regex, I would probably use a regular expression just to find everything after everything between the mustaches and the comma and delete it. But my regex that would probably take me longer to look up how to do that in regex than just doing it this way. Again, automation, lazy, try to do things with as few keystrokes as possible. And thank you for sticking around. If you're excited about seeing what this spreadsheet looks like, I'm excited as well. Trust me, it's going to be worth this time and effort. And drop me a little hello if you're watching and let me know where you are in the world. I would love to say hi back to you and find out where you're from if you're tuned in. do some find and replacing to get rid of some of these. Hey David from Tulsa, cool, Oklahoma. That's cool. Thanks for joining. I appreciate you tuning in. I know I'm not at the most exciting part. I'm not writing a lot of code. I'm doing templating here, but thanks for sticking around. And trust me, this output's going to be pretty cool when we get it done. So thanks for joining. If you have any questions or anything, let me know. And also, if anybody watching the stream, if you'd like a PDF of my book, I basically give them away. So just send me a direct message on Twitter or get a hold of me somehow, and I'll send you a PDF of my Automate Your Network book, which is an Ansible book. And I'd be happy to share it with you. Okay, so that is all good. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is do this fancy find and replace on that quote and replace it with data to template dot, and look, you see, now I have my variable with relatively easy, as minimal keystrokes as possible. And the reason why I'm not doing replace all is I think I have quotes elsewhere in my template, so I'm just doing them one by one here. Yeah, whoops, see? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is take my management port fields and paste those in there. And I'm going to draw my line. So Shift Alt, click and hold, and draw the line that I want, and do a backspace. And let's just quickly look, did that work? Did I screw anything up by doing that? Okay, now what's our easiest way here? I don't want to go through each field. So what I'm going to do is so let me do one manually first. What we can do is pipe and say default quotes n/a. And I want to put that in basically in all of them in case there is no value. So what I'm going to do is find the closed mustaches and replace it with my pipe default closed mustaches. Now let's see how this goes. Yeah, that's going to work. So I'm just going to give every single one of these a default of NA as a catch-all in case whatever interface doesn't happen to have, like loopbacks are not going to have some of these, the management port are not going to have some of these, and conversely, physical interfaces are not going to have the loopback ports or management ports. So let's just give every single one of these, and I'm going to go slow towards the end here, a default value of NA so that my spreadsheet doesn't have gaps in it. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to save this, and thank you for all of your patience. Let's take a look and see what this looks like as a spreadsheet now. Yeah, I just got your message, David. I'll get you a copy of the... Awesome. I'll get you a copy of that PDF as soon as we're done the stream. I'll send that over to you. No problem at all. Thanks for reaching out, and I hope you enjoy the book. So, I just patched it twice. I'm not paying attention. That's okay. So, build. And I want to publish that. And I'm pretty excited about how this is going to go. So let's pull down the new code. And let's try it. NXPyDocs show interface as a CSV. Okay, well, one file changed, and then it's going to dump the JSON on the screen. Okay, now let's take a look. What do you think? Do you think that's going to work? So let's pull down our CSV file. And it's empty because I've made a mistake in the template somewhere. I haven't. Is it the extra space there? Oh, geez, unbelievable. All that build-up. I tend to do that a lot. I build something up and then I make a slight mistake and and I fall on my face. Let's try that again. I think it was the space after show interface because that's an actual literal string. Oh well. Part of troubleshooting. Anyway, interface CSV. So I'm okay with making mistakes and errors as long as you, and what I think is that if you can immediately know, okay, it was empty, that means my if statement was wrong, right? Or I got something wrong in my template. It's not a problem making mistakes as long as you quickly understand, and that sort of comes with time and practice, is to say, oh, well, the file was empty, therefore my if command statement didn't catch any code. Aha, there we go. Now, it looks like crap there, but if I put it into the table, okay, now they're all NA. So I have, and I've missed a comma, it looks like, somewhere, because it's not my header row. So where does my header row break? Ethernet input. So Ethernet input, I have a comma and all of my fields are NA. So my default is working, which is good, but what's bad is that I don't have any data in here yet. So let's take a look here. Yeah, okay, that's wrong. I need to bring that back with the comma. So I'm not sure what happened there, but that wasn't good. So that fixed the header row. And why is my data, so for item, data to template, table interface, table row. Oh, John, you're so silly. Aha. Okay, so this data to template is not right. It should not be data to template dot. It should be item dot because I'm inside of the for loop. So when I did my find replace, I just picked the wrong value with my find and replace. So that should be item. So this will work. Let me just fix this. Again, being able to quickly identify what the problem is a big part of writing code. Don't expect all your code just to work on the first try, but being able to connect the dots and say, okay, so they were all NA. That means I'm not picking the right key value here. All right, so now, third time is a charm. Fourth time is a charm. However many times is a charm. Let me patch that. Let me build it. Let me publish it. And let's spin the wheel one more time here. Show interface to CSV. Pretty confident this one's going to work. Hey David, if you're still watching, let me just get back to you here. Just need an email. I'll send it right away. I just need your email. If you could DM me your email if you're still watching. If not, I got back to you on Twitter and I'll send you that right away. Okay, so CSV. Now let's watch this adjust. When I pull down the code, there we go. There we go. Okay, so now when I preview it, right, I can look at admin state. Oh, it's so massive. My machine's at a crawl here by sorting it. Right, so show me interfaces that are down. My loopback is down. Like imagine the power working this way with your real infrastructure in a CSV file. Sort them by description. Now, again, my machine lacks the power because it's such a massive data set. But we can look across the board here at anything we want. Anything we want. All of these fields. So if I just pick one here, like let's go to one of my numbers here. Right, so this interface has been reset once. We can sort them by output rate. Right, so output unicast, only this interface has output unicast. I could compare interface speeds. I could look for anything with a CRC error or drop packets or, right, as Excel, business ready. This is how we work. We don't work with command line output. That's a nightmare. This is all in a CSV file generated on the box, put into Git. Now the other thing is if I send a running ping and generate data, I could easily use Git to show me what changed between today and yesterday, an hour ago and today, right? So it's really, really powerful having your network state as a CSV file, particularly interfaces. I'm just going to get David that file while I'm talking here. And it'll just take me a second, David. And it's called Automate Your Network. Enjoy. John. Send. Okay, so that's on the way. And now let's do the other file types. It's on, whoops, it's in the mail. Thanks. Enjoy. Okay, so what's next? Well, next is our markdown table and our other file types. Now, I don't know that I'm going to do all of the HTML, right? It's 11:30. It's getting a little late in the morning, but let's go ahead and do our other file types and maybe do an example. Or we could maybe do a couple of fields, CRC errors or drop packets or whatever. So we're going to take that loop and that code and bring it into the markdown file. And interface should go here. Let me just fix this. I want them in alphabetical order. So that should be fine, and I need to add an end if. So if it's interface, we're going to add a header, show interface. And again, what we're going to do here is add a pipe, go to the end, add another pipe. Add a pipe, go to the end, add another pipe. Find the comma, space, pipe, space. And this is going to take some time because I got to go through them one by one because there are other commas in the document. So we're just going to click through them all one at a time. This will just take a couple seconds of clicking here. I suppose I could find or replace all and then go back and fix. Whoops, hang on. That's one too many. No, that's not one too many. When I get to the VDC, slow down here. And now, unfortunately, I do need a delimiter row. So that's all of them. So this is just going to take a bit of time as well, and it's kind of tedious, but we need a delimiter row. And how this works is they have to have the same number of hashes or dashes and the same structures. So hashes in a pipe. And this is going to take a couple of seconds to do. And as we run off the screen, it becomes a little bit tedious here. So let's just scroll this over. And this will just take a couple more seconds, and then we'll have a markdown table. The HTML is not going to take as long, and the mind map won't take as long either. And with all of these fields, the mind map is going to be huge. It really is, because there's so many interfaces. But that's okay. I can show you how to work around a huge markdown file. Now, the other thing is, in theory, we could make a mind map per interface, which is just a little bit more looping. But I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm just going to make one big mind map with all of the interfaces, which at a first glance is going to seem sort of unusable. But I'll show you how you can use the mark map and the find. It's just text. So you could do a find in the text, and then it will jump to that in the markdown. And I'll also try to clump together, like all of these Ethernet fields, I'm going to clump them together under their own section of the mind map to make it a little bit more usable. And again, I know this seems like tedium, but this is my contribution to the community, is to write this code and to make these templates. I'm probably into at least thousands of lines of Jinja 2 in my career, if not tens of thousands of lines of Jinja 2. I mean, I've done a lot of Jinja 2 templating, and a lot of it is sort of what you've seen here today, of just moving and manipulating JavaScript object notation into various output formats in Jinja. Now, if I had something like Copilot, it would auto-complete some of this for me. It's not 100% in Jinja, I find. It's better in Python than in Jinja. But something like Copilot might auto-complete all of this code for me if you're into Copilot. I was using it while it was free, but now it's got a monthly subscription cost to it, and I'm not going to pay for that service. I'll just write my own code. If I was a professional developer, I'm just kind of an open source hobbyist at this point. I'm not writing this code for Cisco or for Microsoft or anything like that. It's just open source work. But if I was a paid developer, I think I would spend the money and get Copilot. It was pretty neat, the auto completion of your code and stuff, or something like this, right? The tedium of spending minutes making this table. Copilot, I would just press tab and it would basically auto complete this. The other thing I could do is, I don't know, there's many ways you could do this. I sort of like just doing it this way. You could make a whole row of dashes, just go dashes all the way to the end, and then come back and add the spacing in the pipes. But I don't have great luck doing it that way. I just am going to go over them all one by one and add the delimiter. And again, who knows? No one might care about this markdown table. This might all be lost effort. I don't want to judge. I don't know if people want this markdown on it. It renders on GitHub natively, which is good. And some people may want it in Markdown. So it's just another template. I already have the CSV logic. And this is just a couple minutes of work for me to make the template. So I just figure I'll go ahead and do it. And thanks for tuning in. I'm just working on show interface, the templating for that if you're just joining. We've also made some great new code to prepend these files with their host name, so that if I'm running this on distributed systems, if I have 10 systems all pushing the code into the repository, they're not overwriting each other. They have the host name of the device where the command came from right in the file name. And that was just a little bit of logic I did at the start of this session today. So if you're getting here late and want to see how I added the host name, just check out the recording of the stream later. And I'm almost at the end here. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so I'm at the end here. And let's generate the markdown file. Now again, it is huge, and I don't know I don't know if my little home PC has the juice to render it or preview it. But let's go ahead and take a look at what we've just made here in Markdown before we move on to HTML and mind maps. All right, thanks, David. I agree. I like the Markdown, and I'll show you. I don't know if you saw earlier, you can use the Mark Map preview if you install MarkMap and generate any markdown as a mind map. Now, it's not the best mind map. I make a specific, so this is Markdown. And we'll take a look at this on GitHub. I'm not going to render it in my VS Code because I don't think I have the power, but Microsoft has a lot of horsepower on GitHub. So as soon as this gets pushed, we'll take a look at the markdown, excuse me. Sorry about that. There's a little glitch. My stream just disconnected real quick. So now let's refresh this and take a look at show interface as a markdown. And there we go. There is the table, and we have all of the fields in Markdown. Very cool, very cool. And just let's see if it will render. I don't know that it will. In VS Code, I can do the same thing if I go to show interface Markdown and try to preview it. No, it works, it renders. So there's the same thing here. Now I'll show you what this looks like as a mind map. And it's gonna be, this might not, yeah, see, look at, just massive. But again, not the best example of a mind map. I will make the mind map, but what you can see here is it will take the header row and spit it out as keys at the very, very top. If I can ever get to the top. Right, so I have all of my keys, my header row, and then I have each interface with the related values. Now I will make a more custom mind map file next. Well, not next, we'll do the HTML next. So for HTML, again, I'm going to take that same show interface code. I'm going to go into my HTML template. Did I reorganize these yet? IP interface brief. Not yet. All right, so hang on. Let me LMNOP. So show inventory. Should go above show IP interface brief. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to take some of this code, right? So the header rows for my HTML, and change that to show interface. Go here and add table header, go to the end and add a slash table header, press enter, slash table row, and then we're going to have the table body, and inside of the for loop we're going to have the table row, the td slash td slash tr. Is that right? Table header, right, header. Oh, I need a body. I need to close the header here. And then close the body, close the table. And then it's just more find and replace work. So what we're going to do is find the comma. And for the header, we're going to do a slash th, enter 1, 2, 3, 4 slash or th, and make our header row. And this, because I'm making this a data table, it's kind of a mix between an HTML page and the CSV file, but it's paginated and you can search and you can print it. And okay, so now we're going to just change this to TD, and do the same thing. And then we can pick and choose which fields we want to add the logic to. So we can pick a few fields and add some logic. Whoops, undo that. So right, here's my logic for if and then the color. So let's split the screen and let's pick some fields, right? So admin state, and let's quickly look at the output here. So if it does not equal up, right, that's what we can do. So we're going to add some logic here. If item.admin state does not equal up, else and if. So if it does not equal up, then give it a style of red, else give it a style of green. So what else do we want? I mean, if Babels is greater than 0, if bad Ethernet is greater than 0, if bad protocols is greater than 0, right? We can do that same thing for each of these. And what I'm going to do is just copy that logic and paste it. Whoops, that's not what I want to do. And then take Babels. If Babels is greater than 0, then make it red, otherwise make it green. Get rid of that. If bad Ethernet is greater than 0, make it red, otherwise make it green. If bad protocols is greater than 0, right? You get the idea. Collisions, same thing. CRCs, same thing. Whoops. So if collisions is greater than 0, if CRC is greater than 0, I mean, we could do if duplex is not full, we could easily do that as well. If duplex does not equal full, let me just quickly check, is that lowercase or uppercase? Lowercase, okay. So if it does not equal full, right, interface down drops, greater than 0. Let me go find my greater than 0 code. If discards late collisions link flapped, right? So we're really making, like, I don't want to say what's up gold, but you know, this data table is going to be very useful for operations to just take a look. And if you see red, that's bad, right? Lost carrier. Is lost carrier a numerical value? Or is it a keyword? Lost carrier is a number, okay. Couple more in here. Let's do output discards. I guess we could do overruns as well. Whoops. And then the rest are going to be loop back. So we're getting there. We're almost done. So on loop back, if input errors is greater than 0, collisions output errors maybe we could do underruns as well. Okay, so that's our table. So now let's increment our build, patch that, build it, publish it, And this is pretty, this is going to be neat. Let's take a look at what this data table looks like. And we're coming up on noon, which is good timing. I'll finish the mind map and then we'll be calling it a day. Okay, so PyDocs show interface as HTML. Oh, ha, John. That's my mistake. At the very bottom of this template, I need to add another end if because there's one more set of logic. You see, I do this big build up. The drum roll, please, and then I fall on my face. But that's okay. That's okay. It's okay. Again, it's being able to quickly find the error and correct it. I'm excited to see what this data table looks like. We're building like operational dashboards here. So show interface as an HTML. To be honest, I probably should have made the mind map before adding all of that logic for the HTML stuff. Because now I've got to strip it out. Item.ethbabbles. Because it's not defined. So I need to say if it's defined. Aha. So what it's saying is like on the loopback interfaces, that's not present. And I'm relying on the default value. So I need to let me just do something real quick on ethbabbles. What I'm going to say is if ethbabbles is defined and greater than 0. Let me just see if that gets around. I know we're still going to get errors. I don't want to do the whole code without knowing that it's going to work or that's the correct syntax for an if a compounded statement. I think that's right. I'm not sure if I have to say if ethbabbles is defined and if ethbabbles is greater than 0. I think this will work. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. Anyway, but that's what's going on is it hit an interface where there is no ethbabbles, so I can't evaluate is it greater than 0 or not. So let's try this again and see show interface HTML. See if it gives me the next unexpected and. Oh, I think, do I need to say and is greater than 0? That's why I didn't do them all, because I'm not quite sure the best way to compound that. That should work now. And then what I can do is a find and replace to fix the rest of them. Show interface HTML. Bingo. Okay, so that is the right syntax. So then what I'm going to do is take is defined and is greater than, and find the greater than. Let me do greater than 0. And is greater than 0. Now there's a couple of other ones. Oops. So then does not equal up. So they all have an admin state, so I don't need to worry about that one. But there was another one with text, I think, full, eth duplex. So if eth duplex is defined and is not equal to full. All right, all right. Okay, now, I don't want to get too excited, but I believe this will generate the data table now. But I'm pretty sure, I thought that that moved on to the next code. Right, see it skipped over it there, bad Ethernet. So why is it now complaining? Do I actually need to say and is greater than 0? Well, I got that wrong. I'm pretty sure I can compound this though. This will just take a little bit of dicking around to get this working. I know you can compound if and in Jinja. I just need to find the right syntax. And it misled me. Alright, okay, anyway, doesn't matter. I'm not going to complain. I'm just going to try this way. Otherwise, I need a second set of logic. I need to say if it's defined and then if it's greater than 0. But I don't think I have to do that. I'm pretty sure I can compound it. And I might have to quickly Google how to compound if that doesn't work. Show interface HTML. Did I miss one? IF down drops. I missed one here. I missed a couple of them. Well, thanks again for your patience. Thanks for joining me. Say hey, let me know where you are in the world if you're on the chat. And again, if you want a copy of my book and you don't have it, just reach out to me on Twitter and I will send you a copy, a PDF version. Show interface as HTML. What do you think? Do you think that compounded worked? It got through. Okay. So the lesson learned here is if something is defined and something is greater than. So you can't just say is. You actually have to give it some context. So now let's take a look here. I'm really excited about this file. So, oh, hang on. I screwed up. I got to go back to my template. I'm missing, John. When I pasted it at the top, yeah, I got rid of my header for my data table. All this buildup, I gotta include the data table header. That was my mistake when I copied and pasted. See, it's here. Yeah, silly boy. All right, here we go. One more roll of the dice. It's a good thing I'm not paid for my development work, eh? All right, let's try this again. All joking aside. Show interface HTML. There's my data table header. Now, let's see here. Check it out. Okay, so something's wrong in the data table. One of my fields is not quite right because it didn't generate as a data table. So my HTML is right, but my data table is wrong. I'm going to have to take a look at the code again. Crap. But the CSV file looks okay, right? I'm not, like, this is all lined up. I don't have missing fields or anything like that. Oh, see, I'm off by 2 here. I should have checked that before I made, so my markdown is wrong and my CSV is wrong, which means the HTML is not generating as a data table. So I have to see which fields are missing here, why I'm off by 2. Is it because I didn't remove those 2 fields? So where do they get wrong here? Oh, look at, you see? I'm missing a, right down, I'm missing a comma here. That's definitely one problem. And I'm missing a comma here. Okay, so this is relatively easily fixed. So under state, so before the loop back, it looks like when I replaced, okay, all right, that's why we validate. So if I go back to my CSV and look for item.state, I bet you I'm missing a comma here. I am. Right there. And what was the other one? Loop back output packets. So this is some find and replace output packets. Right here, comma. Okay, so let's fix that. Let's go to the markdown and we need to find state. And I'm missing my space pipe space. And then towards the end here, right here, space pipe. Save that. And then in the HTML, you see here? Yeah. So I know that the data table was wrong because it didn't give me my data table. It just sort of rendered as junk HTML. So that's, if you're wondering how I knew there was a problem with the HTML. And then there's one more in here that's in the loop back. Right here. Okay, okay. And we're going to regenerate all 3 of those file types because my output's bad. And this will, I'll show you what I mean. See how it's just like, there is no data table stuff, there's no headers, it's like I have double header rows and I don't actually have the data table code. So that was my indicator that it was wrong. As well as the CSV file having 2 empty columns. And I bet you if I had looked in the markdown, it would have had 2 empty columns as well. So show interface, let's do the CSV. Show interface to markdown. And then one more time, show interface to HTML. Now, if I go into my code here and refresh, well, wait, let me just wait till this is done and pull down the code and preview my CSV file. Now I have data all the way to the end. Okay, good. And if I check the markdown, I have data all the way to the end. Okay, good. And now let's take a look at the data table. Here we go. You see, this is what I wanted. And you can see there's 66 interfaces and it's paginated. So I can look at them in batches of 10. I can change the number of rows to all rows, or 50 rows, or 25 rows. So there's all rows. And I can easily sort them just like CSV, but in an HTML page, right? And I have these nice I got my I got to flip the logic here to say if it's, I have it if it's greater than 0. I got to switch that logic. I made that backwards. Right? I want it to be 0 to be green on all of these fields. You might have caught that as I was doing it. 0 is actually a good number to have. All right, one more patch here into that HTML page. So if it's, let me start at the top. It should be, if it's greater than 0, be green. So if it's defined and if it's greater than 0, do I have my red and green backwards, right? So I just have to flip that operator. Because that's misleading. I don't want it to be red if it's 0. 0 is good. 0 is green. And if it equals full, less than 0, I guess I need to make it equals 0, not less than 0. Let me just fix this again. Equals equals equals. All right. Sorry about that. I have my colors backwards, or my logic backwards, depending on how you want to look at it. Show interface, HTML, and then we'll do the mind map, and then I've got to go. We'll wrap it up after this mind mapping. And I'll probably be back on tomorrow morning. If you are interested in this, I'll be doing more show commands tomorrow morning just to continue on with my development here. But I'm going to stop pretty soon after I get the mind map done. And let's pull down the code and refresh this. There we go. That's better, right? So admin state is down, it's red. If it's not, make it green. If it's zeros, make it green. Otherwise, make it red. Perfect. Perfect. So it's like a real living, it's like a, you know, and look at, we have all that, right? So red, they jump out at me. I don't know why that one is still red. Maybe it's cached or didn't render properly. Link flapped is, okay, so link flapped I need to change to if it equals never, because it's not a number. I didn't realize that. I thought it was a number. Okay, not quite done yet. Let's make it perfect. So link flapped never. And I'll just refresh this, because that's actually good to have, is the link flapped, right? If it never flapped, make it green, but this one should be red because it did flap. And we want that to jump out at our operator to say, hang on, this link flapped, and how, you know, the time or however long ago it link flapped. Show interface, HTML. And I did pick a massive data set today. Show interface has, you know, 100+ fields. So this took quite a bit to develop today. But it's extremely valuable and powerful as these different data business ready files. So now let's pull down our code here and refresh that page. And let's find the link flapped. How can that be backwards? Sorry, I launched the wrong software here. So if link flapped does not equal never, well, what does my duplex full look like? Like this is working with down. does not equal up. So I should have does not equal never. Yeah. But what about full? What about my duplex? Is that wrong too? I thought duplex was full. Let me go to my CSV file. And find duplex. Yeah, so I'm off by a column? Is that what's happening here? It looks like I'm off in the HTML because it should be. No, I can't be off. It should be full or auto, not a number. So am I missing a field? I can't be missing a field because otherwise the data table wouldn't render. How come duplex full? It's like I don't have that field in there. Let me look at that. Okay, so first of all, that needs to say not equals length flap never. Where is my eth duplex? Ah, you see, that was a copy replace thing. That should be duplex. Okay, all right. Another little patch there for the HTML. Got to be perfect or it's not worth having, right? I don't want to mislead any operator. So that should be full, and I just missed the copy paste. All right, one last time here for this, and then we'll get on to the mind map, and then we'll call it a day. I'm running a little bit over today to get this done right. And xpydocs show interface HTML. Now it says full. And did I get the colors wrong? Oh, I see. So full or auto. I see. Okay. So I do have it backwards. What about my link flapped? There we go. So link flapped is correct. But I guess I could have it be full or auto. Or I guess I could just say half if it equals half. And I'm not going to regenerate that. I'm just going to fix it. So that should say if duplex equals half, make it red. Else make it green, because I'm okay with auto or full. Okay. So let's do the mind map. And there's a lot of here I gotta have to strip out of the mind map. But I just take the for loop. I take the whole for loop in HTML. And I bring it into my mind map. LMN. I'm gonna have to fix the logic or the order here as well. Let me put inventory above interface brief, but below interface. So then I need to do else, and I need to add my end if, and I'm going to say if command equals show interface, right? I'm going to have one that says show interface, and then I got to get rid of all of my if logic. And again, I probably should have done this, copied this in before I added all that to save me some work. The lesson learned is to, before I add the TD style, is to copy it into the mind map file, because this is a bit of tedium here to fix this up. But that's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's just a bit of extra work here that I've made for myself. Okay, all right, so then what I usually do is, again, Shift, Alt, click and drag, get rid of the TD, hit end, get rid of the /TD, and hit escape. And then what I'm going to do is find this and just replace it with nothing. Get rid of the table row. Okay, now it's just a matter of adding header levels for the mind map. So instead of doing it by admin state, we can do it by anything, but let's do it by the interface. Let's quickly look at our CSV file and pick a good header row. So it could be description, or is there an interface number? No. I mean, we could pick any of these fields to be the header row. We could probably just do it by right here, interface. So we're going to use this interface as our key for the mind map. I should have grabbed that key. So item.interface. Okay, so let's take that out and put it at the top, right? So what we're going to do is have 1, 2 interface like that. And then let's use our draw and add 3, because it won't be any less than 3. But we're going to group them in, right? So what we can do is have administrative state, description, encapsulation, and then these are all ETH. So we can do Ethernet. Grab these to the end of the Ethernet fields. Well, I guess they're all Ethernet. Yeah, let's not do that. I'm trying to group as many that make sense as possible. But that's okay. FEC state. Maybe I should do that, put them all under Ethernet in case there's loopback or management. Actually, I've changed my mind. Let's do that anyway. Ethernet. And we have up to 6 levels, so we have lots to play with when we want to nest further down. So down to Ethernet, we're going to put that. And then we're going to add one here called loopback. Add one here called management. Like that. Okay, so now we go back up to our top, and now if any of these make sense to group together, we can group them together, like these input bytes or input just in general, right? So under Ethernet, we're going to have admin FEC state, auto negotiation, vowels, bad Ethernet. So what we could do here is have bad, have Ethernet and protocols with an extra header, beacon, burned in address, bandwidth, clear counters, collisions, CRC, deferred, delay, dribble, duplex, triple E state, ether type, frame, giants, MAC address, hardware description. Now let's take these two, MAC address and hardware description, and group them with burned in address, and call this hardware DIA MAC address description. And we could take all the other ones and, you know, put a counters and put them all together, which we might do. And we can do that after, maybe, I don't know, or we can leave it like this, ignored. And now we're going to do input and do flow control, IF down drops, broadcast, bytes, discards, errors, multicast, pause, packets, and then what we can do is another one here for rates with an extra level, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's as deep as we can go. 1 bits, 1 packets, 1 summary bits, 1 summary packets, 2 bits, 2 packets, 2 summary bits, 2 summary packets, unicast, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 IP, address, mask, prefix, jumbo, input packets, output packets, late collisions, link flat, load interval, I mean, I could do, I have an extra 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, so I can do 1 RX TX 2 RX TX loss carrier MDIX MTU no buffer, no carrier, FEC state. Do I have another FEC somewhere, do I not? Admin FEC state, so we can take that FEC state. And it's not super important, so let me bring that down. FEC admin state and state, and now I'm into output flow control, broadcast, bytes, discards, errors, multicast, pause, packets, rate, bits. Do I have, yeah, I got more than one. So rate, 1 bits, 1 packets, 1 summary bits, 1 summary packets, 2 bits, 2 packets, 2 summary bits, 2 summary packets, unicast, overrun, reliability, reset counters, runts are, let's do load rx tx speed storm SWT monitor underruns watchdog medium share state and then under loopback we're going to have input bytes compressed errors FIFO frames multicast overruns packets output bytes carriers collisions errors FIFO packets underruns coffee time average bits packets input broadcast bytes now the other thing is, and I probably should do this, I won't be doing it today, maybe I'll pick up tomorrow where I leave off here. What I probably should do is add some logic to say if VDC level is defined, then do the management section, right? If loopback is defined, add the loopback section. If, you know, adding logic to evaluate if these things are defined to make the map smaller. Like I'm going to have the management and loopback under each Ethernet port, but it's going to say NA. And there's probably better logic to reduce that number. So I'll add a little bit of that logic, but probably each one of these I should be evaluating if it's defined, then add it to the map instead of using the default NA. I don't even want it in the mind map if it's not defined. But that's going to take longer than I have today. I will probably pick that up. Let's just get a mind map going, and then I will refine the mind map tomorrow with some additional logic. Average. Yeah, I will do that tomorrow, because otherwise, because I just want the relevant data. I don't want a bunch of NA fields for each interface in the mind map. I want to eliminate them or only include them if they're defined, which I can do real quickly for a couple of these. Yeah, that would really reduce the clutter and make the mind map nice and tight. I completely agree with you. So what I can do is add some logic to filter out the multicast and the loopback. But for the other fields, it's going to take me time to do them all. So what I'm going to do is say here, if that is defined, then include the management. And then I'm going to do the same for loopback. If that is defined, then include the loopback. Now I suppose I could do the same at a high level here and just say if, because in cap, let me just quickly find something here. Let me refer to my spreadsheet and find my loopbacks. So, right, so Ethernet, like I could pick something like FEC state. What port is this? Is this my management port? Sorry, I'm trying to find. Right, so management and loopback. Let me unselect all and just see what field I could use. Right, so admin FEC state. That's what I'll use. So if admin FEC state is defined, then do all of the Ethernet ports information. That will actually trim out quite a bit and make this nice and good. Okay, so I think we're ready to try the mind map here. And this is going to be my last build of the day, so let me delete some stuff and increment my build number here, 188. Thanks for joining, Scargy. Thank you for coming today. And now let's try to generate the mind map. Boy, it's almost 1 o'clock. This took a lot long. Anyway, I was hoping to be finished around noon today. And thank you if you've been here with me all morning. Thank you for joining. Clear NX PyDocs. And we're going to do show interface as a mind map. Okay, so we're error free. It generated the file. Now let's take a look at what this mind map looks like. And it's going to be massive. There's 60 entries, 60 interfaces. But I'll show you how you can work around that. You can do a file find if you want to home in on one of your interfaces. So let's pull it down and mind map. So this is what it looks like. All right, so if we preview it as a mind map, it is massive, right? But if we get our zoom level, let me recenter it here. If we get our zoom level to a certain degree, like we can look at one interface, right? So if I minimize this, there's 129. Now I believe, let's look for 1/1. I believe if I put my focus here, this should reflect, maybe not. I thought that when you manipulated it here, that the preview would jump to it. And I can't do a file find. I'm pretty sure that used to work. So anyway, I mean, I could collapse them all and have just the interfaces, right? But this is a mind map of the interfaces. And as you can see, if we pick one, we have a lot of different, right? So at a high level, admin is up, that doesn't have description, encapsulation, medium, shared state, state is down. And if I expand Ethernet, then we have, right, all of the, so bad, hardware, all of these in alphabetical order, the input rates, the input, the IP address, the jumbo, the load intervals. Pretty cool, right? I think that's really cool. I know it's a massive file, but it is a mind map. Now, you might argue that maybe one mind map per interface would be better, which I don't necessarily disagree with. It's just going to require some extra logic. And as you can see, I don't have the management. And if I bet you if I go to the bottom, we can find the loop back. Let me just validate that that logic worked. Let me zoom out a little bit. They're probably at the bottom. You know, and for an 8-port switch, 12-port switch, maybe even a 48-port switch, right? This would be a lot smaller. And, oh, I don't, maybe they're at the very top. I did all that for nothing. Let me recenter it and go to the top. Right, so there is our management port. Right, and it doesn't have all of the extra fields. And I bet you the next one is, or loopback is in here somewhere. Okay, so that is great work. Now let me quickly flush this out. And just before I wrap up, do one last validation check. Flush output. And let's do all. Just one last time. Right, so nx pydocs all files, or all commands, all files. And now I should get 16 files. And this will just take a minute to run. And while that's running, let me push this into my repository. Added show interface. And I'm not going to delete this branch. Because I'm going to be adding, right, so added show interface. Because then tomorrow when I pick up, I'll add more commands under this branch. So merge that in. So that's been merged in if anyone wants to use this repository. And if I refresh this screen, whoops, refresh my screen here, I have all 16 files. Inventory, IP interface brief, and show version. And let me flush my key because I showed that key a few times today. So let me delete my token. And thank you for everyone who joined, especially anyone who joined me for the full development cycle today. We got a new command in. We've prefixed things with the host name of the device in front of the file, and we added show inventory and show IP interface brief. I'll probably be doing a little bit more. Right, one for the state of the interface, only if they're up, mind map them. That's not a bad idea. We could add some logic for that. A separate mind map maybe if the interfaces are up or down. So have a great weekend, and I'll be back tomorrow morning doing a little more coding. Thanks for joining me, and stay safe, everybody. Remember to reach out if you want a copy of the book.